Welcome back, guys. So right now we've designed the home page, and the next thing we want to do is to design the about us page. How do we go about that? So we start by starting with the frame. So I'm going to start with the frame right here. The frame selection has to be desktop, of course. So I'm going to have this right here, and I'm going to rename that about us. So it's going to be renamed to the about us page. Yes, so it's going to be renamed to the about us page. Here we are, and we have the about us right here. So we're going to have this, and I'm going to zoom it to like a 50%, and here we are. So we have the 50% right now, and this is where we are right here. So all I have to do is to bring in some components. For instance, this is a component, so I have to bring in this component. All I have to do is to come to your asset right here, and you're going to see your component right here. So one of the component I created is the navigation component. So we're going to have our component right here. So we're going to have one component, and the component is the navigation bar. So I could access the components from here, and all I have to do is to bring in the components, and that's what I just did. So this is the components that I just brought in from the navigation bar. So I'm going to just zoom this like a 50, and here we have the navigation bar components. I could turn on the grid, of course. So let me just make sure I'm coming to the file back, and I'm going to click on the about us. Yeah, that will be the about us frame. Then let me turn on the grid. So I'm going to turn on the layout grid, and here we are. So I'm going to make sure this is properly aligned, and here we are. So we have the navigation bar right here. We just had to bring it in because we made it a component from the first design. So the footer too could be a component, which we are going to do later on. So right now let's bring in the wireframe. We have a wireframe for this already. So from the wireframe, let me just bring in the wireframe to the side. So I'm going to have the zoom to fit, yes, and I'm going to bring in a wireframe right now. All I have to do is to drag the about us paper wireframe we did earlier on. I'm going to bring it in right here, and this is it right now. So we have something like this beside this. So I'm going to zoom to 50 now. I'm going to zoom to 50 just to see what we have right now. So we have this, and in the paper wireframe we have the navigation bar, as you can see from here. Then we have something like this, and something like an arrow session. So let's do something like that right now. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. So let's use a rectangle to do that. So let's achieve that with a rectangle. So I'm going to have a rectangle right here, and yes, I'm going to have a rectangle right there. And what I want to do right now is to bring an Unsplash plugin. So I'm going to come to Unsplash. I'm going to use my plugins to access Unsplash. Then having to access Unsplash, all I have to do is to look for an image that represents creative. So let's say creative. So we're going to have it as an about us. So I need an image or a video. So we could start with something like this, and let's see. So we have all these images. Which are we going to go for? So let's go for something like this, and I'll go for something like this. So let's see how that fits into what we are doing. So that I just did, and it fits into this. Okay, so we have the image right here. So let me do something like this. Let's have this right now, and we're going to have the image worked on. So this is the arrow session. This will be like the arrow session, and this will have the about us. So let me just take off the layout grid right now. So let me take off the layout grid. So here we are. So I'm going to take the layout grid off. So I'm going to off this. Yes, so we're going to have that off, and we have the about us right here. So right now what we want to do now is to look at this. So I'm going to zoom to fit, and looking at this, we have some text right here. We have the about Billard creative, some text, and we have the video icon. So we're going to do something like that. So let's do that. So I'm going to come right now. I'm going to say zoom to 50%, and here we are. So I'm going to write the text. So the text would start with a T. So I'm going to click on the T icon. I'm going to say about Billard Creative Studio. So yeah, so that will be it. All I have to do is to access my typography, and I'm going to use the heading. I'm going to use the heading on it. So let me just control A this. I will make sure that is selected, and let me use the heading on this. So yes, we have the about Billard Creative right here. So Control Z. I'm going to Control Z that. Then I'm going to select this. Yes, I'm going to select this right now. So having to do this, I'm just going to zoom back to fit to have, so we could have access to this. So let's do something like this. So we have this, and all you have to do now is to select this, and having to select that, I'm going to just make sure it's a move to and I could move it around. So yes, so let me just move this around. So I'm going to just do something like this, and let me move this to somewhere here and have something like this. So we could have the large creative studio, and let me just edit this a bit. So let's edit that. Let's edit this right now. So I'm going to have this edited, and how do I go about editing that? So let's choose this, and let's use this button to edit what we have. So the line height is what I want to edit right now. So let me edit to like a 50 to see what the line height. 50 is not enough, so let's go to like a 100. Yes, so we have a good line height right here. So it's going to be about large creative studio, of course, and we're going to use the primary color. So let's have the primary color used. So that I have to just click on fill and come to the libraries. I'm going to use the primary color, and that we have the primary color. So that will be the about us, and there will be a little bit of text right here, as you could see. So I have to create a text again, and I would say okay. Okay, so I'm going to name this. So let me choose my style from my library. So I'm going to give this a body text, or we could give it a subheading, which is 24, and body text is 24. There's a 36 subheading, so let's use 36 right there, and let's say we. Process over every other thing. So that will be a simple test around that. So let's make it like a 50%, so we could see what we have right here. So here we are, and we're going to have something like this. So we at Village Creative Studio. Yes, so we're going to have something like this, and this comes right here. So this is Village Creative Studio, and this comes right beside it. So we're going to make use of the field, access the library, and make it a primary color. So we have this, we had Black Creative Studio prioritize our creative process over every other thing, and that will be the test beside that. And we're going to have something like, so we have our wireframe right here. So let me see what the wireframe says. So we have the icon right here, a little bit of icon. So we're going to put that video icon just to create a video kind of effect around that. So that will be the call to action. So let's look for an icon. So let's access the plugin. So I'm going to access plugins, and we have Iconify, we have Icon 8. So let's use Iconify right now to look for a video icon. So I'm going to have that opened, and this is Iconify. All I have to look for is video. So let's see what the video icon would look like. So we're going to look for a video icon, and here is a video icon. So we're going to look for something that will be used for to display that. So I'm going to use something like this. So all I have to do is to select this, and I'm going to import as frame, of course. So remember, we were importing as frame, and we have to do some changes as well. So we have something like this, and Control Z. So remember, I said if something is moving, all you have to do is to lock it. So I'm going to lock this right now. So let me lock that so that it doesn't move around. So I have that locked, and this is the icon I brought in. So let's just reduce it a bit, and from the design right here, the wireframe design, there is a circle around it. So all I have to do is to ungroup first. I'm going to ungroup that, and I'm going to select both. I'm going to say this and this. I'm going to give them a frame selection. So let me give them a frame selection. So we have a frame selection right there, and right now I'm going to change the color to a call to action color. So let me access our color library. So I'll come to the libraries, and I'll make it an accent color. So we have that, and this would have an effect of, yes, it's going to have the play button effect. So what I want to do right now, it could not be that. Actually, it cannot be that. So let's make it something like, okay, let's make it this. Let's make it a Okay, let's make it something like this, and we're going to have a circle beneath it. So let's draw a circle right now. So I'm going to draw a circle right here with the ellipse tool, and I'm going to use shift to have a perfect circle. And right now this is a perfect circle, and I'm going to use the priming button, and yes, we have this, and this would be frame. So the ellipse comes down and the frame goes up. So yes, here we are. So we have something like this. Control Z. So let's Control Z that. So we have the frame. Control Z this as well. So I have the circle. Control Z. Yes, so we have the ellipse and the frame. So right now all I have to do is to bring that up. So all I want to do now is to look for bring to front, and that comes to the front of this circle, and here we are. So we just have this designed, and we're just going to have these groups. So we're going to have that groups. I'm going to say group selection, and that will be the play selection. So I could give it a rename. I could say play button. So play button. So that will be like a video kind of. So I'm just going to bring this in somewhere here, and there we are. So we have something like this, and we are good to go. So right now we have, okay, let me flatten that out. Let me flatten this out. Yes, so we have that flattened out. So we have something like this. So that will be the play button right there, and we are good to go. So we just designed the first hero session of the about us, and that's what we just did. So I'm going to go to our services. So let's do something about our services. So let's extend the artboard of the frame. So I'm going to extend this. All I have to do is to click on the about us right here. So what I want to do now, I could actually group all this to be a session, but let's leave it right now. So let's leave all that right now. So let's just group it to be a session right here. So let's group this to be a session. So I'm going to group this, and I'm going to name it the hero session. So I'm going to choose to ungroup this. Yes, I'm going to just choose this, choose that. Then we are going to have that chosen, and we're going to choose everything all together. So we're going to have it all grouped. So I'm going to just Control G that. I'm going to Control G that, and that will be the header. So that will be the about us header, about us header. Okay, so we're going to have this renamed. So let's have that renamed, and let's zoom to fit. So it's going to be zoom to fit. So we're going to, oh sorry, Control Z. We are not supposed to choose this, so I'll have to Control Z all that. So this will be, oh, Control Z. So I have to Control Z a lot of things right now. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Yeah, so we're going to have this separate and this separate as well. So let's bring this up apart, and let me select this. So I'm going to select all this right now. So let's select all that right now. So I have that all selected. I'll say Control G, and now to say Control G, I can rename it right now. I can say, okay, so let's have all these renamed. So I could just Control G that. Yes, Control G, and I'm going to Control Z, Control Z. So let's have all these grouped again, and I'll say Control G, or I could leave it in a frame selection. So let's say a frame selection. So let's give it a frame selection, and that will be a frame selection. So let's rename this. I'm going to rename it to be the, so let's say the hero session about us heroes. Okay, so that will be renamed. I'm going to rename that right now. So that will be the about us heroes. So let me just extend the about us right now. So let me extend the frame. So I'm going to extend the frame down. So let's have something like this, and let me go back here, and let me change to like a zoom of 50% right now. So here is the first thing we just designed, and the next thing we want to design now, checking our wireframe from here. So the next thing is our services. There will be an image right here. As you could see, there will be an image, and let's do something like that. So there will be an image, and there will be a services. So there'll be a test, of course, as you could see our services, and let's proceed to do that. So let's have a test right here, and I'm going to have our services right here. I'm going to have our services. So I'm going to control A this to have access to the typography library. So I'm going to choose, so this will be the 48 heading, so it could be the button test here. So we're going to use the button test, and right here I'm going to take the fill color. I'm going to use the primary color right here to do that, and there we are. So our services can start right now. So I'm going to zoom to fit. Let's see the zoom to fit, and here we are. So the next thing we want to do is see our service design. So we're going to have this design right now. So let's have a test again. So there will be a test beneath this, of course, as you could see there will be a body test. So right now all I have to do and and individuals that are creative, we offer the following services. Yeah, so I have the test right now, so I'm going to have something like this, and having to have something like that. So all I have to do is to take this to like a 50%. So we're going to have access to this. So let me come this way and bring this. So let's bring this somewhere closer here. So we're going to have something like this, and we're going to make this smaller. So we have something like this right now, and at this very side we're going to have our image. So this, I'm going to give it a color. I'm going to give it the normal color that we have. So basically, so this is what we have so far, and our services is right here. So I'm going to start listing them with icons, and there will be an image right here. So let me access my unsplash again. Let me access my unsplash. So I'll come to my plugins. So let me access my plugins. I'll click on this icon, and I'll access my unsplash plugin. So let's look for a creative. So we're going to look for a, okay, let's look for a designer, something like that. So let's look for a designer. Let's see if we'll see a single image of a designer right now. So let's look for that, and let's look for someone to use right away. So we are looking for an image to use, or we could use an icon. Actually, we could use an icon. Well, let's see if we have something that we could use right now. So let's see what we have right here. So we could have these. Okay, so let me look for images. Let's see something, if I would have something beautiful to work with. So we are going to have that to represent what we are doing right now. So let me use something like this. Let me bring in something like that. So let's do something like this, and let's see what we have right here. So look at what we have here. So I'm going to just reduce this. So this will be reduced, and this will be brought right here. So this will be brought right here, and we have something like this. So let's see how this goes for us. So right here we're going to have the services listed from what we have right now in the wireframe. So there will be icons and there will be services. So we're going to have services and a little bit of text. So let's do that right now. So let's bring in our iconify. So iconify would save us. So let's come right here. Let me use my plugins, and let me come to my iconify. So right here, my iconify, I'll bring in some couple of icons. I'm going to bring in, so let's say desktop. So let's say desktop. So I'm going to look for desktop as an icon. So desktop will represent web development, of course. So I'm going to just bring that in. I'm going to bring that in right now. So I'm going to say, I'm going to bring it in right now. I'm going to bring it in as a frame. So I'm going to import it as a frame, or Ctrl Z. Let me just import it as a component rather. So let's say Ctrl Z. So let's import it as a component rather, and that will be it as a component. So let's look for more. So I'm going to import, aside from that, I'm going to import another thing. So let's say a, okay, code. Let's say a code. Yeah, so this will be something like this. So I'm going to import this as a as a component as well. So I'm going to import that as a component. So let's say code, and let's say design. Let's look for something like design. So let's see what we have for design. So I'm going to have something like this, and I'm going to use this. So let's use that. So I'm going to import that as a frame as well, and I'm going to use the very last thing. I'm going to say marketing. So let's see what marketing looks like right now. So I'm going to say marketing, and I'll use this right now for marketing, and I will import that as a component. So yeah, we just have the basic icons imported. So let's see what we have so far. So we have this, and we have this, then we have this, then we have this, then we have this. So let's zoom that. Let's zoom our icons. So let's bring them closer. So we're going to bring this somewhere here, and right now we could change this to like a 50. So let's see what a 50 would look like here. So 50 is not bad. So let's change all the icons to like a 50. So this would be like a 50. Yeah, Control Z. So the height would be like a 50. Sorry, the height would be like a 50 rather. So yes, we have something like this. This will be the first icon we're going to use. Yes, so this will be the second icon. Of course, this will be the second icon. So let's choose this. Let's choose this to like a 50. So let me take this to like a 50 as well. Yeah, so that will be a 50 as well. So we have this as well. So this will be like a 50, and we are going to delete all this, and that's what I just did. So I'm going to zoom to fit. Let me zoom to fit so I could see what I'm doing right now. And here we are. So let me just take this home page towards this place, and yeah, so here we are. So the about us page is being designed, and we're going to proceed. So we have a 50 right there, and that will be a 50 all around, and yes, we are good to go. So right now we're going to have the title of the services. Then we're going to, so let's have the title of the services one by one. So we're going to say brand marketing. So the first service says brand marketing. Yeah, so we're going to have something like a brand marketing, and I'm going to give it the typography. So the first typography will be like a subheading. So let's see something like this, Control A, and let me access the, it won't be a body test. So let's see what the subheading looks like. So yeah, that is 36, and let's see. So we're going to have this will be brand marketing, of course, and the brand marketing, we're going to have this brand marketing, and this would go this way. This will come beneath here, and yes, we have that, and this will come beneath here. So I'll add a little bit of text beneath this. So let me just choose this, and that will be that, and let me choose the fill color. So the fill color will be this, of course, and this will be, we're going to use this as a fill color as well. So yeah, right now we're going to use this as well. We're going to say the fill color will be, yes, it will be this as well, and we're going to have this text duplicated, Control D. Then I'm going to write another services. So I'm going to say web. This will be, okay, let's make this like a brand design. So it will be brand design. Yes, and we're going to have another right here. So let's make use of that. So let's have this duplicated, the body test. So what we're using now is the body test right here. So we're going to have the body test beneath this. So we could have the body test, and we say brand marketing. So we could say we market small and medium and proceed. So we could have this duplicated as well, Control D, to have it somewhere here as well. So this will be brand design. So we have something like this, and this will come beneath, a little bit beneath here. So we have something like that, and yes, we are good to go. So we have something like this, yes, so let's have it this way. Yeah, so we are good to go right now. So we have something like this. So this will say want to relate their offerings. So these are tests that I'm bringing out of my head, so we could perfect it later on, but basically that's what we are doing so far. So we have to copy this, so this could be copied as well. So I'm going to control D this, and this comes right here, this comes right here, and I'm going to have this named. So the last thing will be web development, so we could have that as a service as well. So this will be web development, and would name it we we develop and design websites for creatives and businesses to showcase their offerings on the World Wide Web. So we have something like this, and this will be our services. So we have something like this designed already. So all we want to do now is to come this way. So we have this as our services, and here we are. So this could come somewhere like this, and yeah, so we're going to have something like this, and this will be our services. And right here on this we could add something like this, what we do. So this will be like a, okay, so let's do something like this. So I'll take this, I'll bring this up actually. So let me just bring it up. So I'll bring to the front, and yeah, so no, let me take this to the back, let me send to the back, Control Z. Let me use Control Z, and let me see what we do. So move to page, select layout, and let's see what we're going to have. So send to the back a bit. So I'm going to just take this out, Control Z, and what I have is our services, and I have it duplicated. So let me look for that. So let's look for something like that, and let's see what we have right now. So right here I'm in the about us, and here is the services and everything. So we have the two services. Okay, I know what to do. So let me just bring this somewhere here, and let me say this should be brought to the front. So let's see what we have right now. So let's say this should move to page, and move to front, move to back. So we're going to just, okay, so let me move this to the back a bit, and I'll bring this to the front. So let's say bring to the front, and this will be moved to, okay, so let's say this should be moved to the front as well. Okay, so this will be, okay, let me just write a new test. Let me just write a new test right here. So coming back here, I'm just going to leave this as our services, and I'm just going to write what we do on it, because from here it's not necessarily you follow everything on your wireframe. You could actually have it all reduced. So you could see this is the wireframe from here, and we just designed this, something that looks like these are services. Then this, we have an image that says what we do, but we could leave it like this. I think it looks good like this. So we're going to proceed right now. So the last thing we want to do is to, we are creative, then we're going to bring in the footer. So the last thing we're going to do now, so let's do that right away. So I'm going to just come right here and say we are creative. So let me just look for something like a test. So I'm going to look for this, and I'm going to say we are creatives. Yes, we are creatives, and yes, we're going to have this. So I'm going to control A this, and I'm going to have this selected. So we have something like this, we are creative. So I'm going to bring this to the middle. So this will be in the middle, and would say there will be a test beneath it, and let's use Control D to select that. So this comes here, so a test comes here right now. would take something like, let me see what this will be. So let's see if we have this 36 here. So we're going to use this right now. So I'm going to just align this to the center, and here we are. So we have something like this, and we can proceed with our footer. So we have zoom to fit, so let's zoom that to fit, and we just designed what we have on this wireframe. We just designed it right here. So we just designed our about us page, and what I want to do right now is to make our footer a component. Then we're going to proceed with what we have so far. So yes, let's make the footer the component. So I'll zoom to 50 and coming back here. So like I said, the footer was right here. So let's just bring in, let's come to the layers so we can access everything. So this is the about us, of course, and this is the home page. So this is the footer. So what I want to do now is to make this footer a component. So I'm going to make the footer a component. So I'm going to create component out of the footer, and there we are. So we have the components. So footer is a component right now. So all I have to do is to go to the about us page to access the footer being a component, and I'll bring it in right here. So let me access my assets right here. I'm going to come to my assets, then I'm going to look for components. So I'm going to look for components. So this is the footer component right here. All I have to do is to bring it in. So I will insert it right here into the design, and it will come right into this place. So this is what we have right now. So we just designed, so this we are creatives would come right here. So we could have space in between. So we have something like this, and yeah, we are good to go. So we have something like this, and yes, we are good to go right now. So we just designed this full page. So let me just zoom to fit so you could see the about us. So this is the about us we just designed using our wireframe that we use paper to sketch, and this is what it looks like so far. So we created components. You know what components are now. Components can be reused, and this about us page is looking good so far. So the next page, we're going to design the next page in the next lesson, but so far we've designed the about us page. So you could turn on the grid. So coming back to my file, I have to click on about us, so I could actually turn on the grid layout. So let's see what we have. So having to turn on the grid layout, you could make your design fit into the whole grid design system. So let's do a little bit of that. So right now we have the Billard Creative Studio, and let's say the whole design starts from here. So let's make sure this is a full, oh, we've been able to group this actually, so we could ungroup just to work on it. So we could ungroup that. So we have all this. So I'm going to have it all ungrouped. So let's say we have it all ungrouped. So let's ungroup all that. So right now we have it all ungrouped, and here we are. So I could lock this rectangle as usual. So let me have that locked right now. So I just locked that. So I have the about Billard Creative Studio, so it starts from there. So we're going to leave that as a margin. So it starts from there, and this would go this way. So yes, so we have something good going on right now. So we have that, and this right here we have the, so let me just flatten this out. So I'm going to flatten this out. So let's flatten it out, and yes, we have that flattened out. So I'm going to bring this to the middle right here. So it's going to stay at the middle right there. I think that's the middle. So let's have something in the middle. So yeah, that's the middle. So all I have to do, I could use the alignment button to have that centered. Yeah, so that's in the middle. So we have this and we have this. So basically that has been done. So we're going to have all this. So let's have it highlighted. So let me just make sure this canvas becomes smaller. So let me have all this highlighted right now. So we're going to have this highlighted. So I'm going to highlight all this, then so that I can have it all. So let me unlock the rectangle. You know, I locked it, you remember vividly. So let me come back right here to make sure that is unlocked. So let me just unlock the rectangle. So I'm going to unlock from there. So I'm going to have it all grouped right now. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give it a frame selection. Then I'm going to rename. So I'm going to rename this. I'm going to rename it the About Us Heroes. Yes, so it's going to be the About Us Heroes. I'm going to have that renamed, and that will be that. that. So coming back here, the our services should stay on a good line. So this is the line right here, this is the line we follow, and this would follow as well, would follow that same line. So this will follow the same line, and this, all these will follow the same line. So let's do that right away. So let's do this. Okay, so Control Z, let me just Control Z this, and let me just have this all copied. So let me have it all highlighted. Sorry, I'm going to have all that highlighted. Then I'm going to make sure it aligns properly with this, and here we are. So it aligns properly with that, and right here, so the margin right here, as you could see, so we could just give this something like this, so it comes right here. So we have this, and here we are. So we are creative should come to the middle as well. So it should come to the middle of everything. So we're going to center that, of course. So that is it being centered, and this as well should be centered. So we have that centered as well, and there we are. So we have the footer right here, the footer we brought in. So that is it right there. So we just have our design perfected from what we just did. So that is that for that, and that is me designing the about us page. I hope to see you in the next lesson. See you there.